This is Phil with Cache Valley Pharmacy. We love being in Cache Valley and want to thank you for your support. Cache Valley Pharmacy features the best prices in the valley, and as always, free delivery. If you're in the market for prescriptions, check first with Cache Valley Pharmacy for the absolute best prices, especially on compounds and insulin. We've been doing pharmacy better than anyone else in the valley with free delivery valley-wide for the last 19 years. Cache Valley Pharmacy, the pharmacy delivery experts. Order your prescriptions online at cachevalleypharmacy.com.
Attention homeowners! You may have noticed the ground shift after your foundation has been poured, causing your house to sink or settle. Protect your investment from issues before they happen. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering will stabilize, lift, and eliminate further settling by using Magnum Piering products to save you big money down the road. Polylift Concrete Raising and Piering are the foundation lifting experts. Visit poly-lift.com to schedule your free assessment or call or text 435-999-9309. Polylift is locally owned and operated.
Welcome to a radio town hall here on KVNU and in the Great Basin area, courtesy of our friends at KVEL, broadcasting simultaneously. District-wide town hall. All questions are fair game, regardless of where you're calling from. If it's a Box Elder issue, a Basin area issue, a Cache Valley issue, anything is worth discussion here, with our good friend Congressman Blake Moore joining us for this radio town hall. The call-in numbers, again, for everyone listening, regardless of where you're at, 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. We'll start here, though, with Congressman Moore himself. And, Congressman, appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is, I believe, our third now that we've done radio town hall. You've had traditional town halls and teletown halls yourself in between. You've been a very accessible congressman out there engaging with the public. And it's a good thing, too, because it seems like there is never a shortage of something going on right now in Congress. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jason. Like I say, I signed up for this, so I'm willing to go and explain and give context and nuance and all the fun stuff that goes on here that I don't always think is fun. But I appreciate your willingness to help cover and all those other net stations and people listening in. So if people will hear me out, I think that they'll find that we're really, really being thoughtful about every angle that gets done back here, and willing to always go and defend it.
Well, and we appreciate you making yourself available. We're glad to help facilitate that. But for listeners out there, again, this is your opportunity to ask a question, make a comment. We'll open the phone lines up at roughly 5:20 here after Congressman Moore and I spend some time recapping what's happened since we last had a chance to have him join us here in a radio town hall. And that list is just long. We probably won't get to everything, but Congressman Moore, I did want to be sure to highlight this today, considering everything that's been going on, the smoke we've been dealing with here in the air in northern Utah for quite some time, gone today, thankfully, but for several weeks now, smoke from Northern California and more. Back in mid-ish September, you and another member of Congress introduced something called the Save Our Forests Act, and you said that this was meant to directly address staffing shortages and to help mitigate, in other ways, wildfire risk. Can you talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. And, the Save My Forest Act is one of a sort of a larger, broader strategy towards mitigating the extreme risk that we're facing. The Firesheds Act is another one that we have recently been involved with, and so as you asked me that, I also want to bring up a funny text message my brother sent me. He's like, "Hey, I see you doing a lot. I see you did a couple, wildfire bills. That's good and all, but will you go fix immigration for crying out loud?" And I'm like, I love my brother. He's a great guy, but I'm like, I'm on the Committee of Natural Resources. I'm not on the Judiciary Committee. I'll be very engaged on the infrastructure debate. I've already been very engaged and willing to talk about it. But I can't go and start a bill because I'm not on that committee. So where I have this sphere of influence is where I will make I'll make an impact. So we have, and this is a huge issue. We've got to get to states have the tools that they need with the federal agencies' involvement to be able to get enough workforce in these roles, whether it be for the Forest Service, whether it be for a specific firefighting role, and provide the right type of compensation for people. And so the Save My Forest Act is about more so than it's about a workforce approach to making sure that we have people that are willing to go and do this job. We're losing this cadre of public servants, and it's a difficult job, and I rely on experts like Cache Valley's very own Casey Snyder, right? I mean, he's dedicated a lot of his time to this, and we'll go on, weeks upon end where he's out doing this, and it's a neat thing, and it takes a special person to be willing to go and take that risk. And we need to make sure that they're compensated and that there's a pipeline for these folks. Sure. And so that's what the Save My Forest Act is. The Forest Tech, there's Forest Tech, but we've also got fire sheds. I'll briefly just highlight that one. There are portions of our forests that are at more extreme risk than others, and it's using technology and mapping data and LiDAR to be able to identify where those areas are, and then you can go and do some forest management. It also helps to remove bureaucracy, so states can enter into shared stewardship agreements. And, there's a fundamental debate about wildfire mitigation and how to manage our forests. If we all lived in Lewis and Clark times and, you just kind of let the fires roam, let the forests roam as they are, like, we're not there. And that's not a liberal or conservative issue. Like, we have population. We have people starting fires from gender reveal parties, right? We saw that in California a year or so ago. Sure. We have chains that are dragging on freeways. And so we are a part of this. We have got to be able to mitigate. And so we've got several bills on this that are the larger strategy on how to go about doing it. They're all bipartisan. And, sometimes it's tough for Democrat colleagues to engage on this topic because, there's a lot of environmental groups that I don't think have the right data or approach, to think about forest management, reducing fuel, logging techniques, that type of thing. We've got to engage on that if we want to really help solve this problem. The toxins and the emissions that get put in the air are catastrophic as well. And so we care about climate change. Now, you also have to be willing to engage in the climate change debate, too, which I have shown that I'm more than willing to engage in that. I can't fix that by next fire season. Sure. There are things we can do to help mitigate that, and then we have a short-term and a long-term approach. And we need to have representatives in Congress willing to embrace both.
What was amazing about this, and the reason I selfishly wanted to start with this one, not only is this a bipartisan bill, you, a Republican from Utah, joining with a Congressman Jimmy Panetta from California, the Carmel Valley area, a Democrat. So not only were the two names on the sponsor sheet there bipartisan, but you have, and this is all available for listeners if you'd like to read them in full text, the Congressman's website, blakemore.house.gov. But I'm just reading through this. I don't think I've seen a list like this in years. But you have, endorsements for this Save Our Forests Act from the CEO of American Forests, a legislative representative at Earth Justice, one of the a left-leaning environmental group. The CEO of American Forests, most people would put on more the industry side. Then you have Wildlands program directors, a staff attorney at the Western Environmental Law Center. So you've got representatives from what would traditionally be left-leaning groups and representatives from what would traditionally be thought of as right-leaning groups, more industry-oriented groups. And they're all saying, Congressman Moore's bill is a thing we should do. But that list of endorsements just struck me. We don't see that, or at least hear about that often anymore.
Yeah, because it wasn't just during the campaign. There are areas that do not need to be partisan. There are things we're always going to disagree on, and I dare anybody to come at me for my record and my voting record on life, on pro-life issues or Second Amendment or fiscal conservatism. Like, bring it. I'm ready. But there are issues like our forest fires where California is going through a very difficult time. We're reaching out to them. I'm one of only 5 Republicans on the House Natural Resources Committee that passed bills in the freshman class. I came back here with an attitude of productivity, and in some cases it'll be over just foolish partisanship, because they don't need to always be. There doesn't always need to be a stupid partisan fight over things like this. I enjoy that on the Armed Services Committee, and I enjoy that we have to fight a little bit. That's a natural one to be able to have some agreement, because there's a lot of support for our troops back here.
Sure.
But on the natural resources side, there tends to be more fights, and we do a lot of fights over energy, of our energy policies, and we can get into that. But there's also things that we should be able to pass through.
And this, just a great example of what's still possible. It's easy to forget. I catch myself even at times, Congressman, forgetting that this is possible, that you can bring, industry groups and environmental groups. You can bring Republicans and Democrats in the House together and actually get something working on this front. But again, just, worth spotlighting there, that list of endorsements, just seeing the different names from different organizations, and thought, Congressman Moore got these people to talk to each other. That is something it's nice to be reminded of. We'll just put it that way.
And let me add one more bill in there. If you were going to ask for it, I apologize. You're going to ask, but I apologize for preempting. But
no worries.
The Saline Lakes bill. We have a lot of state legislators that are very concerned about our Great Salt Lake.
Sure.
And we're putting together a Saline Lakes bill, and I went directly to Jared Huffman, who played first base last night in the congressional base. He did mention Jimmy Panetta, and he and I had a really fun game. He was on the Dem side. It was incredible last night, and I won't use any of the time to rehash that old stuff, but that was something else.
Who won?
The Republicans, we got the W. It was 12-13.
Wow.
We closed them out in the top of the 7th inning. The first inning we got down 3-0, and I'm telling you what, something crazy happened. I was up. There was 2 guys on, and I put one over the center fielder's head, as I rounded second base, I looked at the third base coach, and he was waving me on to home. And I said, "Oh no, my legs are not going to make it all the way around." But we did. We got it in the field. We got it in the park home run at National Stadium. It was fascinating.
That is great.
It was a good reprieve for all the craziness back here. But the Saline Lakes bill, there are some terminal lakes also in California, and Jared Huffman is, as on a completely other side of the spectrum. But there's concern over these, and if our Great Salt Lake is at its lowest level, it's like 1961, and we're worried about dust flare-ups. We're worried about a lot of changes to either mineral production, but to our tourism. We have to address it. So a lot of state, legislators in Utah, very conservative folks, are really, pushing with us. They're appreciative of our federal attention to it. And we just dropped that bill last week, so we'll kind of keep monitoring and see how these all go. Not all these things end up getting through, but you take a bite-sized approach to these little things, and then you try to get them through the process. So
that is amazing. This is it's a pleasure to get to highlight these things and talk about them, and we'll talk more about what Congressman Moore has been working on, the reauthorization. The National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2022. There's more to this. If you'd like to read, though, about what we have discussed, the Saline Lake Ecosystems and Conservation Protection Act, Ecosystems in the Great Basin States Program Act, the actual title, or the Save Our Forests Act. All of that you can find at the Congressman's website, blakemore.house.gov. And we'll be back with more. Also open the phone lines up for listeners out there, whether you're here in Cache Valley, listening in Box Elder County, portions of Summit County, the Great Basin area over there by Vernal. Regardless of where you're from, any question is fair game. 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. We'll continue with our radio town hall with Congressman Blake Moore right after this.
Dr. Josh Redd, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
A lot of our patients end up having autoimmune conditions. This is where their immune system, rather than attacking bacteria, a virus, or other bad things, it starts to attack their own tissue. This can cause so many different issues and symptoms throughout the whole body. The biggest thing for us at Red River is to identify what's causing the autoimmune response to flare up. This could be intestinal problems, blood sugar imbalances, cortisol defects, hormonal imbalances, along with something as simple as dietary triggers and environmental triggers. One of the most common causes, too, when you have an autoimmune condition is you'll have inflammation throughout the whole body. Not every patient will have the same imbalances or the same triggers, and so we have to customize a very personalized treatment plan in order for these patients to feel better.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
NMLS 1817019.
Want the lowest mortgage rate? Don't go to a bank or credit union. LendRight Mortgage's rates are often at least 0.25% lower than other lenders. Listen to these Google reviews from very happy clients. Mary, I did my due diligence and compared 3 other companies, and none of them could compete with the rates offered by LendRight Mortgage. David, LendRight had the best rate we could find, and we shopped pretty heavily. Megan, they got me a great interest rate, much lower than competitors. Landon, from start to finish, they were great. Other companies couldn't touch their rates. Ron, on top of the superior service, I also got a 1.75% rate. Wow. This is why we confidently offer a $1,000 lowest rate guarantee. Rates in the ones will soon be gone. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightmortgage.com.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. A live radio town hall happening here in hour 2 of today's show. Please join us if you have a question or a comment for Congressman Blake Moore. He's with us the whole hour for this radio town hall. 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. And for those outside of Cache Valley listening, that is area code 435, on that 753-5868 number. Or again, 1-800-369-5868. Congressman, we did have some questions sent in via email and text before the show today. We invited that over the last couple of weeks, and we'll get to those. I want to remind listeners as well, the bills we've been discussing here, from the Save Our Forests Act to the Saline Lake Ecosystems and the Great Basin States Program Act. All of those can be read via links at the Congressman's website, blakemore.house.gov. And thanks again to Congressman Moore for taking the time for this today. Congressman, one of the questions sent in came from a listener in the Great Basin area. And listener said, I feel like I keep hearing the same words from our state lawmakers on this, but I'm very concerned about the future of areas in the Great Basin as our energy outlook changes, as the state moves, more into renewables as opposed to coal mining. I'm really concerned about what I'm seeing happening in my hometown of Vernal. Does the congressman have a thought on that? So, the listeners saying they understand that many of these things are actually state-level issues, not congressional issues, but this is something you have paid close attention to, right?
Yeah, no, we very much so, given our committee work and just my interaction with the Uinta Basin through the campaign. It's such an amazing place to serve. So let me just highlight a couple things. When President Biden took office, he did the secretarial order that banned oil energy development on federal lands. Okay, and there was a moment or a blip that there was some pause to the current leases that were going on. There are still leases available that haven't even been necessarily consumed or taken up. But what you saw there was a shift in policy that wasn't embracing, U.S. energy independence. And that changes the way our markets work. That changes the way, and I'm not an expert here, so I won't speak long about this, but speculation and what the future looks like is a problem. And then all of a sudden gas prices that are based on that type of outlook go up, and there's a supply issue. And you saw Biden take this unilateral approach from an executive order, and then you saw a few months later a request to OPEC for more oil. Once their administration likely saw an increase in gas prices, and that is it's a gift to me, because I have been embracing the concept of, we do have to invest in renewables. We have to think about it. We have to be a part of it. And that's not me saying that. That's industry. Rocky Mountain Power, I've recently met with them. Their leadership, the leadership with the co-op that's in the Basin region, there's a willingness to invest in this. And American companies in an industry are going to do that. But arbitrarily just kind of holding back and relying on foreign production is so bad for our economy, and it doesn't do anything different for our for the general climate discussion, right?
Sure.
And so it's something that we need to embrace. The U.S. needs to be the leader in this. So we're really, really excited to give a little bit of hope. We are really hopeful, as we've been sort of very closely monitoring the Uinta Basin Rail Project, to be able to help come to that region. There is a distribution and infrastructure issue in the basin, given the nature of where it's located with various surroundings. But getting a rail project in there so it can take its natural resources and what they produce there with oil and gas and get that to the Gulf Coast will help stabilize that economy. It will provide opportunities for potential manufacturing, and there'll be an overall economic diversity. And you know what? We need to be willing to embrace other types of renewables and look into those opportunities. It's not an either or here, and we're just really thrilled to be in this discussion. You're seeing in Louisiana, there's a lawsuit against that secretarial order. The Supreme Court will be in a good spot to step in and kind of put a little check and balance on the executive branch. And embracing American energy independence is a good thing for our environment as well. Natural gas has done more to curb emissions than any other source that's available, because it covers both. It's a reduction in emissions, but it's also reliable. And we cannot rely on wind and solar right now. It's a good pipe dream, but it is not a strategic plan. And that in line is my biggest criticism of the Biden administration right now on multiple fronts, from immigration to energy to defense. There is this sort of hope for outcome, and there's no back planning on how you go about building to that, because people are willing to engage on this. Energy, you cannot ask OPEC for more oil after you've done what you've done to American production, just because it sounds good politically. We've got to be willing to dive into it. Immigration, the Remain in Mexico policy is a good policy, and on an unwillingness to embrace that would actually alleviate a lot of the stress that we're having on our border right now. And then with Afghanistan, in defense, we can't just put out a date and try to get out of here by the 20th anniversary and not have a better transition to get out of there. And we could go on and on about all these topics, but you cannot just put out a hope for outcome without back planning. And I want to be a part of these conversations, and the energy one and the basin is a great place to look, because there's really good opportunities there. Companies there are responsible. They interact with the local universities to monitor air quality standards. We're doing it better with better labor standards and better environmental standards than any other country in the world. Let's embrace that. And I'm hopeful that, with the rail potentially being approved here, we should know in the next quarter or so, we'll have a little more clarity on that.
Very nice. And a great question from a listener there, again, on the future of U.S. energy as it specifically pertains to areas in Utah, like the Great Basin area, where this is still a big part of the economy. The listener, again, says they're seeing things change. It makes them nervous about what might happen to their hometowns.
Yeah.
And Congressman Moore, appreciate you taking some time to respond to that. For listeners, if you have questions along these lines for Congressman Moore, again, as you can hear, he's open to any question, willing to field any topic. Join us, 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868, regardless of where you're listening from in the district. Any topic is fair game. It's a live radio town hall here on For the People with Congressman Blake Moore, and we'll be back right after this.
KBNU News Time is 5:31. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by the Duck Hunter. During his monthly PBS Utah news conference, Governor Spencer Cox explained where the state stands with the Delta surge of the coronavirus.
Our positive tests are down about 20% in the state, and so there are good indicators that we have summited the peak of the Delta variant and are starting down the other side. That's welcome news, obviously for our hospitals and our frontline workers who have just been slammed over the past few weeks.
The governor added that hospitalizations, which are a lagging indicator, are coming down as well, and that a decrease in fatalities will follow. He said in the last several months, there has been an increase in testing demand in Utah.
We added staff to our testing team. So we added more than 238 new staff to the Department of Health and Test Utah teams. In June, we had 7 mobile test sites. Today, we have 16. We expanded locations and hours of operation. 12 additional sites were added over the course of the past month. Our community testing sites added 169 additional testing hours each week, and sites increased hours of operations.
Since Wednesday, 12 Utahns died of COVID-19, and the state health department reported 1,704 new positive cases, 96 of those in Cache, Box Elder, and Rich counties. KBNU weather, mostly clear tonight. Areas of frost after midnight, low in the low 30s, and then sunny and around 70 tomorrow. Right now, it's 67 degrees. For the latest news, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Believe it or not, a high-quality furnace air filter will reduce the amount of dust and pollen carelessly floating around in your home. John at the Duck Hunter says always buy a higher quality air filter. If you can see through a filter, you probably should pass on it. If you're not sure about which furnace air filter to buy, give John a call. He only carries the highest quality, which will reduce the dust and pollen in your home. For a free consultation, call the Duck Hunter at 770-4813.
We are the Duck Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duck Hunter.
Al's Sporting Goods 100-year anniversary celebration going on now. Huge savings store-wide. Better than the Marks and Internet. Vortex Diamondback 10x42 Binocs $149. Sig Sauer Rifle Scope $99. Winchester Super X 22 caliber rounds $29 for 300. Dakine pickup pads $59. Camp Chef 12-inch Dutch ovens $24. Camelback Hog hydration packs $39. Don't miss Al's 100-year anniversary celebration. Al's Sporting Goods. Every sport, every season.
Trouble with pain, sleep, or anxiety? Want better health? Try CBD7, the CBD experts. You simply can't get this water-soluble CBD at grocery, convenience, or health food stores. Water-soluble CBD7 absorbs 15 times better and tastes great. CBD7 has the only clinically proven formula with real measurable results. Many feel better in minutes. CBD7 is not a drug and has no side effects. Other CBDs just can't do all that. Visit CBD7 today. Learn about CBD and try our best for free.
RoofMax by Quality Pace Roofing is a quick and affordable alternative to a complicated and expensive asphalt roof replacement. Your home and business roof may need help going into the winter months. Call 757-9642 and let Quality Pace Roofing see if RoofMax can save you thousands. This is a nationally recognized asphalt shingle rejuvenation process that extends the life of your roof up to 15 years beyond the warranty. Call Quality Pace Roofing 757-9642 or Google Quality Pace Roofing.
Welcome back to our live radio town hall with Congressman Blake Moore. If you have a comment or a question, still plenty of time to get them in. And you can do so by calling 435-753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. Congressman Moore, this is, the age we live in, so many of our questions coming in here this hour through Facebook comments and some sent in previously. I'll do my best to try and get to them all. For listeners out there, though, if you sent one of these questions in live here during the hour or emailed before, if your question is similar to someone else's, just going to box them all together to make the best use of our time and the Congressman's time. And Congressman Moore, one of the questions that we got multiple versions of kind of relates to what we were talking a bit about before our last break there, but more specifically, the supply chain. The first question we got kind of made me chuckle. A listener emailed in and said, I know this is not something that a member of Congress would normally busy themselves with, but why do my Maverick cups look weird? And I had to laugh about that. We then got 10, 15 different emails about the same thing. Sometimes it was chicken wings. Sometimes it was dog food. But a lot of questions about supply chain issues and items that you might notice are a little harder to get or a little more expensive right now. I know y'all are having conversations about that, right, at the congressional level?
I get the humor, but it's absolutely relevant.
Sure.
It's 100% relevant because it changes the norm a little bit, and that can either cause anxiety. If it's a disruption in our market, that's great. Like those things are good to embrace, and that's why we have innovation and all that. But if it's because we have a lack of supply chain and we can't get it when there's consumers that want it, I mean, that's a fundamental economic flaw in our supply and demand curves, and it largely comes down to supply chain. So there's multiple facets here. Just this morning, I got to hear from I think he's C-suite level with Intel. Chip manufacturing is causing major disruptions in the market. There are cars in Michigan just sitting on the supply or on the factory floor waiting for chips. That's it.
That's amazing to think about.
The car dealerships are cups at Maverick, great. Hopefully, as long as they still have the pellet ice, we're good.
I think that when that goes away, I think we riot.
then we start tipping over cars.
That's right.
The problem is there's not many cars, and our dealerships are not able to sell. They're backlogged. They're back ordered like crazy. So chip manufacturing is a big thing. Agriculture. We saw how fragile our ag market is when our border shut down in COVID, and we had empty grocery stores, even though there was plenty of food to be produced. We didn't have the distribution channels,
sure.
And there was a change in people were eating at home, and the restaurants weren't buying as much food. So those big packs of bacon and things like that weren't being sold because they didn't know how to package it to get it. So we're involved in all of it. But I mean, just this morning, there's the CHIP Act to help get this so we can onshore some of this capability, and this has to lead to a bit of a manufacturing renaissance. And so these disruptions, we need to recognize that American ingenuity exists. We saw that when we switched to making some PPE gear to manufacture masks, and we took other types of factories and capabilities and switched it on a dime. We've got that in this country. We have to find the value in it. The problem is if we get our taxes out of a competitive rate, then who can manufacture here? Who can get the labor to be able to to do it when taxes are climbing, their expenses go up so much so that they can't, provide the wages for people to be there, and we're upside down in here, and it's just so much easier to put those products and those manufacturing overseas. And then what happens? Well, we have disruptions in the market, and then all of a sudden we don't have the products. So we need to make sure that there's legislation to address, like, producing things made in America, tariff policy that you have to nuance, because you can't just be a hawk in everything. Then we damage our relationships with our partners and allies. But just embracing a tax structure that's competitive. It's not like we don't have to be lower. Companies want to invest here. We just need to be competitive, or you will see we'll continue to see major disruptions in this.
Sure. Is there concern that things might get a little worse before they get better? Again, the first email we got made me laugh. Why do my Maverick cups look weird right now? They're clear, not branded as Maverick cups. Supply chain issues. But as you said, this is very real. There's some serious, potentially serious ramifications of this. Is it going to progress before it turns around?
There was a resin issue in Texas, and part of that was because of that crazy cold front that they got that put things operationally down. There were things during COVID that we thought, the economy's going to shut down, so we can ramp down some other stuff to kind of match it. And the economy continued to heat up. And so those were arbitrary things that would be more blips and not fundamental. But one big thing, we've got ships sitting out in Long Beach right now. They're waiting out there to be processed just through the customs. I've got a great idea. Let's be the type of state that can embrace an inland port and get that flowing through here, creating good jobs. And I know the decision makers in our industry and in our government that we do care about the environment. And this should not be kind of held hostage just because of concerns about how this is going to play out with some congestion or maybe air quality. Like an inland port, it's got to happen somewhere in the Intermountain, and if Vegas gets it, they'll crush us on jobs, and I believe we can do it better. And there's plenty of ways to mitigate and find opportunities to address the things that I think are very serious when I say air quality, because that's a big thing in Utah. So those are the areas that if we want to get serious, we can make a big positive change here. And not I know that very few of those things are done here at my level, or at our level in the federal government. But we have to be sensible and pragmatic, and definitely the tax piece is one thing that I'm definitely fighting for as much as I possibly can to keep this. And I do that through examples like Nucor. I love this example. When Nucor when we got a globally competitive tax rate from the 2017 Tax and Jobs Cut Act, what they do, they increased middle-class wages. They gave back to their community by buying ambulances. Companies are acting responsibly. They're embracing social impact. I saw it in my private sector career right before this. And companies are acting responsibly, and we need to make sure they have what they need to be able to thrive. Sure.
This is, again, a big part of moving forward in some way. Everyone out there is this is new to everyone, right? A pandemic happens once every 100 years at most, and here we are trying to figure all this out. A lot of our questions sent in by listeners ahead of the show today were similarly themed. Congressman, one question we got from a listener, this was interesting. We hadn't talked about it before during one of our interviews or one of these town halls, but a listener said, last year was rough for my family, primarily because we lost a lot of our child care options. And so that led to some career changes for our family. And listener said, what is Congress doing about this? Sometimes it seems like only the state lawmakers are even aware of this. And I won't answer for you, but you'd actually tweeted about this. You tweeted about something you call the Care for Her Act.
Yep, absolutely. The Care for Her Act, it's a really special piece for me. My wife's 6 months pregnant.
Congratulations.
We have a debate. We have a debate, and we'll continue to have a debate about abortion, and it will be a very divisive piece to our society. And I love the chance you're giving me to talk about this. If I could sum it up in one phrase, it's I want to be a part of ending abortion and not just banning abortion. Ending abortion means to me that we have to embrace, why is there this going on in our society? And there's a lot of different reasons. And one simple thing with respect to this act, the novel idea, and the first time I heard about it, I was taken back for a moment. I'm like, how have we not thought about this before? Now, just a little bit of preface. When I was running for this role, a very, very someone close to me that had served at the state level, very conservative individual, said, "Hey, Blake, you're going to see during these campaigns, you see everybody saying I'm pro-life, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-Trump, pro-this." They just kind of, we know that you're running in the Republican primary. I want to know more. I want to know what more about you, and that's candidly where the expect more, elect more kind of it's fun play on my name, of course. But every time I talked about pro-life, I talked about being pro-adoption. It's because I've been touched deeply by our family. My brother has 4 kids from adoption, and my sister-in-law, not with every of them. She didn't have the close contact, but the birth mothers that she does have, she would send like a newsletter to them. Right? I'm talking around this a little bit, and I'll get to what you're asking. But those women, those 4 women had options. They had a choice, and under the current Roe v. Wade, they had an opportunity. They had an option to choose, and they all chose life, and that benefited our family forever. And to see the way that they've embraced this conversation and used it as a way to be productive and positive just really kind of dug into me. One provision in this bill, it's the child tax credit that exists for every one of our children that just exists part of our tax code. Well, why wouldn't we extend that to a baby in the womb? If we believe that life begins at conception, then why are they not eligible for that? My wife and I are talking names right now for this unfortunately not a girl, 4th boy. We've got 4 boys. We're hoping for a girl, but we're talking names right now, and that kid's already a part of our lives. And why wouldn't we have a tax credit that exists? Now, the ironic thing is, it's not going to really change the needle much, because once if the baby isn't born, it's usually born within the same year. So if it straddles the new year, you might get a benefit during that time. But giving support and options, so women that are if there's ever even an inkling of a thought to choose something different, they know where they can go for adoption services, what's available to them, what resources can they go to, and those types of things. Then they might have that strength to deal with these odds that they're up against. And that's the type of conservative voice that I am. And I won't, and I loved hearing this individual from Nebraska that presented this, and it caught me differently. And so I was willing to jump on. So I'm excited about it. I love the way that it shapes the conversation, and I think that with this, this is going to be a very hot debate coming up. I think the Supreme Court there'll be an opportunity. There's a case from Mississippi. You'll see something come from the Texas law that's just done. Those are triggers to take a look at Roe v. Wade, and I want to be somebody that's out ahead of this by showing what we do to care and believe in the sanctity of life, and kind of put our effort where our mouth is. Another
great question sent in by a listener there. If you'd like to join us, there is still time. 435-753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. Congressman, I think I've given people too many options to get questions in. That or they're scared to go on air with you. I don't think that's it, though. But please join us. These questions coming in are great from listeners. We've got quite a few that have popped up just on Facebook during the hour here. And again, we'll try to get to them all. If we don't, though, I'll promise to send them on to the Congressman's staff, and maybe they can get back to you that way. And we'll get back right back to it with our live radio town hall with Congressman Blake Moore right after this.
Thursday night, come help ignite the light with Alex Boyer as he performs a free concert at the Cache County Fairgrounds, bringing attention and positive support to suicide prevention. This evening of fun and food will help raise funds for the Cache County Suicide Prevention. Suicide affects all walks of life, backgrounds, and age demographics. Join Alex Boyer Thursday evening as he performs a free concert to support and give back to our community. Donations of any size are accepted and welcome. Go to the Cache Valley Daily Facebook page for concert details and donation information. The outpouring of support for this event and cause is unbelievable. Thank you to all of the businesses for your support. Join Alex Boyer Thursday evening at the Cache County Fairgrounds as he performs a free concert bringing attention and positive support to suicide prevention. Donations of any size are accepted and welcome. Go to the Cache Valley Daily Facebook page for concert details and donation information. Ignite the light this Thursday.
Adams Wealth Advisors' entire team says, thank you, Cache Valley, for voting them the best financial planner in the Best of Northern Utah competition. Honesty and integrity is the hallmark of Adams Wealth Advisors. Let them earn your trust today.
This is Craig Adams. At Adams Wealth Advisors, we are here to help you receive peace of mind, whether you've done a lot of planning or a little planning. Count on our team at Adams Wealth Advisors for honesty, professionalism, and integrity.
Visit adamswealthadvisors.com or call 752-1702 to schedule a time with an advisor today. Please see adamswealthadvisors.com for more information on these recent awards.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology is Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Paul Daines by calling 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Welcome back to our live radio town hall with Congressman Blake Moore. Throughout the full hour, we fielded a lot of questions, great questions from listeners. Talked a little bit about what the Congressman's been working on there at the start of the hour. And there's still time for you to join us, 435-753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868. More questions sent in via Facebook as well. We'll try and get to here during the hour. I appreciate listeners doing that as you're listening online. And, Congressman, we do have a caller on the line with a question for you. Catherine with us now. Catherine, your question for Congressman Moore.
Hi. Yeah, I'm glad I got in on this. I didn't get it at the very beginning, so I don't know what's been already said that much, but I know so sometimes when I get the surveys and things, which I didn't get to do the online one because I got computer problems, but
who doesn't?
I hope that do need help with infrastructure things. I know I live here in Logan, and I know some of it, I got to talk to the city people and stuff, but I am not, I can't drive now after I was hit by a car, and as a pedestrian, but there's still a lot of, so I walk everywhere or ride the bus, but there's still places where there's really bad sidewalk problems and stuff. And I actually looked up before I slowed down. I usually am watching where I go, and I tumbled over this little grocery cart that pull around, and I hit my head and stuff. But anyway, but I agree with a whole bunch of the things you've been talking about. And I wanted to make some comments that just for people to know some things.
Catherine, we're short on time. Did you have a question for the congressman?
Well, I don't,
just a general question about infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. This is a topic that is definitely dominating things, the federal level. Congressman Moore, great place to wrap up as well with 5 minutes left. Catherine kind of bringing it home there. When we're talking infrastructure, we're talking about things like money appropriated that will eventually make its way to a city somehow and become a repairs on a sidewalk, things like that. But it's a big bill, price tag wise, right?
Well, let me just talk about two aspects to this. We spent our spring, and our staff was so excited to go through all of these various infrastructure potential for areas throughout the district. And we were able to secure an inordinate amount, especially given, our lowly freshman nature back here. We were able to secure an inordinate amount, and there's the Cache Valley Transit project that we were able to do. And as the caller mentioned, and again, sorry to hear about some of the troubles you've had with the driving and everything. I hope you're doing okay. But there's a retrofit. There's an expansion of bus service with embracing technology and the app that your district up there was extremely excited about. Those are the kind of fixes we love to be a part of. They're bite-sized. You can find the need and address the need. And so that's a whole process of infrastructure legislation that goes on, and you get to look deeply in your own districts and find areas that I love that side of it. Now this $1.2 trillion infrastructure that's going on today, we would need to go a whole nother hour. But what's going to happen is there is two big bills going on right now: the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation bill. And as far as we know on numbers, there's $1.2 trillion of infrastructure, and there's $3.5 trillion of reconciliation that will add dozens of new government programs that will all need to be funded. And then after a few years, the federal government will take that funding away, and there's an expectation and a demand and a process set up so states would need to sort of take that over. Folks, that is not the way our Constitution is established, the 10th Amendment. For example, with the reconciliation, there is a push for universal pre-K. Okay? I have kids in pre-K. It's expensive. I look at our local schools, K through 12, and I think, is there room? Is there a way to maybe expand it to pre-K? I am all for that discussion. There are pilots going on in various areas. There's one I understand in Tooele that's going to assess this. And they're going to determine with their school district in their community, does this work for us? Is there a need from our parents? Is there a buy-in? Is there support? And then let's go and implement it. But for the federal government to come down and implement more programs when we are already, on an annual basis, $1 trillion of more spending than we bring in, this will continue to cripple our future. And the infrastructure bill is not a horrible bill. There is good things in there. There's lots of good things that will come from Utah. And if it was on its own and it wasn't being used as leverage to get the progressives to buy into it, then you would see more of an embrace. But it is only being used as leverage. And to avoid getting too wonky, it doesn't, like, if it were the highway bill, this year the highway bill, like the infrastructure's up, if this were the farm bill that's up every 5 or so years, it would be getting used in the same way because this place works fundamentally flawed. And that there is, a lot of jockeying going around and trading for this and that. And we're about to go into this. It's going to be 9 p.m. here in a little bit, and we're going to be into hours of the wee hours today, probably.
Oh, wow.
going back and forth on this infrastructure deal with the potential of reconciliation, and that's just not something that I'm going to support, because I could have supported the infrastructure bill if we knew there was enough Democrats to back away from the big reconciliation work, and we're just not seeing any assurance that that's the case.
Congressman, I apologize.
It's a hot topic.
We'll have to leave it there, but obviously a hot topic, and appreciate taking the time to talk to us about all of this today.